After 19 countries, 44 cities, 45 venues, and 81 shows, at least by the time this video is posted, the Twice This Is For tour will be finally conclude. That was bad grammar. Basically, by the time this video is posted, right now, as you were watching, the tour has concluded. But as of now, I think they are either wrapping up or still doing their last show for their final encore performance. Which, my goodness, look at the date. They started in July 19 of last year and have ended now. A whole freaking year. There has been a lot of discussion on some of the issues that happened throughout this tour, for, most notably like the injuries that have happened. So I thought it would be fun to kind of talk about everything that has happened and maybe kind of go into discussion for what the future of Twice is, because this is like the year, I think, and this is like around the time where they do talk about contract renewals. But we'll get to that at the end. A lot of their members have been injured, and it sucked for a lot of the fans, unfortunately, because while it may be their first time seeing them or maybe their second time seeing them, they don't get to see all of Twice perform because, Taeyeon and like Chaeyoung, for example, like those two, they sat out through most of the shows. Like Taeyeon had to sit in the chair basically for the whole show. Chaeyoung, she was still there, but after like a lower back injury, she had to sit out for basically from Orlando through the very end, the whole American leg of the tour. Taeyeon had to basically sit out for the whole tour for America. It's been bonkers. Let's go through the injuries right now. So Junghyun missed the Philippines show and Phoenix because of flu and other health issues. Mina missed the Philadelphia concert. Chaeyoung, we've already discussed that. Taeyeon, so those are like the four members that were hurt. I believe Chio was kind of injured, but not to the point where it was kind of like she had to sit out. Or actually, I remember there was a fan cam. She did. So maybe that's just not included, but I think she kind of had something there, which I think, by the way, throughout the whole tour, I actually admire Jihyo, which, yes, she is the leader, but she is the one who seems to be enjoying touring, because if you look at all the members, I think everyone can agree that they did not look like they were having fun, at least until the very end, because that was like, yay, we can finally take a break and rest until we run this back, same song and dance, like literally a night after, then a night after, and a night after. But I don't know, it's just okay, we've talked about the injuries. Let's talk about one of the biggest issues that I don't think people have really addressed about this whole tour. I don't think it's from the tour itself where they did so many shows, because I feel like whether they did lesser, I think more has kind of contributed to them getting injured. But I think what they did in between, like outside of the tour, has maybe potentially contributed to what has happened, for them missing out like some of their performances. So the whole show, the whole tour has ran for a whole year, right? Let's think about right before they did that. They had to do a cameo thing with Coldplay. I don't know if it was like they had to like perform, or maybe they just did it's like a song or two with them, but they had to kind of prepare for that too, while also preparing for like the venue and like the layout and their choreography on how the hell were they gonna pull off this 360 stage that they did, which is literally just like a freaking like Tetris block, at least from what it looked. It does look a little wonky, but it's cool on how they played it out. They did that. They also had to do the Lollapalooza performance too. They also had the Misamo subunit, Mina, Sana, and Momo, like their Japanese little mini group. They came out with like an album, Confetti. They had to do promo with that, and Chaeyoung did a solo debut for Firecracker, Shoot, that thing. And the biggest one that I think a lot of people forgot because how bad it went was the Victoria's Secret fashion show. There were so many events, so many promos that they had to do while doing the whole tour. And I think them doing all of that, like, I can see why Chaeyoung had to do like the album, for example, and because she was going to perform that, at least one song, which is Shoot. She had to do that for the tour. They also had to do like a little like Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, which was Strategy, but that song has been overplayed 1,000 times. I'm pretty sure they're tired of doing that, but I get it. That's to kind of keep up their relevancy and, you know, kind of ride off the success of K-pop Demon Hunters. But I just think all the other promos that they have done, I feel like they probably should have sat out, because Twice, they're not like a dead group, because this is like kind of my theory. I feel like they did all of this to kind of promote for their tour, but I think with them being such a big group in JYP, I think they would have been fine without doing so many of these like side quests that they did, because that that is like a pretty heavy strain on them. That puts a heavy strain on them for when they do perform at the tour. It is gonna, you know, wear them out more. And you know, when we had Chewie, for example, you know, her voice was like kind of raspy and all that. I think she had something that hurt her more when she had to do the Victoria's Secret show, because people were clowning on her for it, and she had to apologize, which she didn't have to, by the way. It's just, they did so many of these promos and events I feel like they did that to kind of overall promote their tour. But I think Twice is already such a big group that people would have known either way if they didn't have to do all this. Like I think it brought a lot more attention, don't get me wrong, but it's also gotten a lot of attention that this group, Twice, they have been super tired most of the time through their shows. Like some of them, like I was there for their very last show of the American Leg Tour, which was Austin. There were some moments, and I mentioned this before in another video, like there were moments where they kind of rushed a little bit or kind of like dragged on one of their songs. Like it wasn't like too big to where it's like noticeable. Like you notice it for a split second, but then they get right back into it because they're freaking professionals, obviously. But that just kind of goes with my point that they have been getting more tired as shows go on, because my goodness, I was there for the Seattle one and I saw all 9 of them, thankfully. But then when I was there for Austin, 2 of them were gone. And I think there was also this thing where Taeyeon, in particular, that her leg injury got overlooked. I want to make it very clear. I'm not going to point fingers at JYP Entertainment. I'm not saying that they are, you know, oh, they're money greedy, selfish. Like they made them perform till their very last breath, because if you watch their documentary, the One in a Million one, they were Twice themselves. They picked out their whole set list for what they were doing. They knew that this was the set list that they were going to go with. I don't know if it was their choice or JYP's choice, or the entertainment company in particular, not freaking Park Jin Young himself. I don't know if it was their choice to do adding more shows, because I think that's also been kind of an issue too. They added too many. They added like 19, I think. So they're basically just one of the overall issues here was just they just did so much. They did so much, and I think people forget Twice isn't at the young age where they can do a whole lot, same song and dance over and over without really like you know, a lot of fatigue. Here they are getting old. Like they're still young to perform and tour and all that, but they're not like freaking Cordis where they have so much energy and they can do whatever the hell. They are at that age where they're not really in their prime anymore. Because if you think about it, they don't really perform one of their like heavy songs, like what is it, TT or Likey? Or I think Likey's probably the heavier one. But you know, because they're saving their energy for like their other heavy songs that recently got popular, like Strategy, for example. And of course, they're gonna do This Is For. Like I know that K-pop groups, regardless, like I know K-pop choreography is crazy. I know that it's so demanding, and like, you know, there's like some diet limitations, all of that. And I don't want to go too much into that in that realm here. Like I understand that this is inevitable. Like like members, they will get injured. Like I understand it's such a physically like demanding like thing, but I also do think that maybe just like considering their age, is that they're just not really the group that can perform 84 shows. Like, I know BTS is doing like 88 for their Arirang tour, but this is a group that really hasn't been doing much because they all had to go through military. at one point. So BTS was kind of on like a longer hiatus than Twice ever was. I don't think Twice was ever on a hiatus until now. I think it's been announced that they will go on break, but I also heard rumors that they were having a comeback by the end of this year. I'm assuming that means the break was probably going to be maybe 2 or 3 months if they haven't prepared for their new comeback yet, which is probably just going to be a single. If it's another album, that would genuinely be crazy. Anyways, I've kind of talked over all of that. I just want to talk about now the future, like involving Twice, like what's there from here on out. So starting with their contract renewals, I know a lot of people have been freaking out about that. People are thinking, oh, maybe one of them, like Chaeyoung, for example, like she did at one point think about stopping Twice, but she didn't. She's still here. Maybe people are thinking, oh, she's gonna leave, or someone else is gonna leave, or whatever, whatnot. Twice, please stay, please, 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 please. Twice is forever. And if you want my most unprofessional opinion, I believe they're all going to renew it, because if you consider their most recent album, which really wasn't an album, it was kind of like a love story. I think their solos are the ones that really hit it. Their like main title song, Me and You, that was like just a love song for, a thank you song. The title of that album is The Story Goes On. So it's not The Story Ends. It's clear that they are going to still do this again. They're still going to, stay as the 9 overall. And Jihyo confirmed recently that they will tour again. And at the Austin tour, I was there when Nayeon herself said, see you again. And that was their last show of the US tour. So that's also like slight confirmation there that they will tour again. So I think this won't be their last time. I think they're all 9 of them are going to renew it for sure. What I do think, however, is that this is definitely going to be the last tour where they do the most shows. I think the next tour, for like, which probably won't be coming out maybe like another 3 or 4 years or something, that will definitely have lesser shows than this. I would think so. I would hope so. If they kept the same amount or maybe go more, that is where I would be very worried. I do hope that they do lesser shows. Even if that means I have to like fly out or maybe I don't see them at all, then, boo-hoo on me. Because I want to see Twice still, make more songs. I love seeing their, music videos and all that. But in order for them to continue doing so, realistically, they're going to do lesser shows if they want to still keep doing this. They're going to do lesser stuff, especially when you consider like other girl groups that haven't been active as much. They're technically not disbanded, but they're not as active, like Girls' Generation. I know they're doing a tour too right now. Or later, which is basically just all in California. I guess that's the move that they're going with. I think this is like gonna be their biggest tour, and that will be like their last of their biggest. So their next world tour, if they do so, will definitely gonna be at a smaller scale, hopefully. But this won't be the last time we see Twice. But it's also really interesting to how they can all stay together. Like, because what is it? Taeyeon, she wants to be an actress. She was in a K-drama recently. Like, I think all of them have like their own solo goals that they have. So I don't know how they're going to be able to balance that alongside with staying together as a group. Like, if they're able to find that balance, that would mean that they won't be together as a group as often as they are now. But if they love staying together as 9, then, good for them. But I do hope, starting from now, that this is a wake-up call for Twice and the management behind it, that they should probably not do as much as, because they like their encore, for example, like they do so many like songs for that, and even though they're not really like, really performing, they're just kind of like messing around at the end there. Like, they run this back more than me telling my buddies, yo, let's run it back on Valorant or League. But anyways, that's kind of all I wanted to talk about. I just think Twice needs to rest a lot more. And I'm really hoping, because who knows, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is their last time as 9. But I doubt it. I think they're all going to continue. I hope this video doesn't age poorly, though. So that's all. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.